Episode 1. The Ball Invitation. Rylan had always been the quiet, invisible one, the kind of person who blended into the background, never standing out. The worn-out apron he wore every day at the small cafe his stepfather owned was the only thing that defined him in that dingy, cluttered space. Every day, he worked endlessly, serving coffee to indifferent customers, cleaning counters that always seemed to gather dust no matter how much he scrubbed, and making sure the cafe ran smoothly. But none of his efforts ever seemed to matter. His stepbrothers, Gavin and Dylan, took the spotlight, praised for their charm and wit, while Rylan was left to fade into the shadows. It didn't matter that he was the hardest worker. It didn't matter that he was the one who made sure the cafe stayed open. It never mattered. One cold evening, as the clock ticked toward closing time, Gavin strolled into the cafe, a smug smile on his face. He was always the confident one, always the center of attention. "Morning, Rylan," Gavin said, his voice dripping with mockery as he slid into a seat at one of the tables. He didn't wait for a response before glancing up at the ceiling, pretending to check the time. "Big event tonight. The ball at Prince Lucian's mansion. You wouldn't know anything about that, would you?" Rylan didn't answer, focusing on his work instead. He had long stopped trying to engage with his stepbrother's teasing. It was easier that way. But he couldn't help but overhear Gavin and Dylan talk excitedly about the upcoming ball, about the glamorous guests they would mingle with, about the connections they hoped to make. The ball was a chance to rub elbows with the city's elite, a night full of power and wealth. But for Rylan, it was nothing more than a dream. He wasn't invited. He wasn't the type of person who belonged in such a world. That evening, after his brothers had made their plans and left for their own excitement, Rylan found himself sitting in the tiny apartment above the cafe, staring out the window into the night. The world seemed to continue on, with people bustling, laughing, and living their lives, while he sat in the stillness of his own loneliness. As he gazed out at the twinkling lights of the city, Rylan heard the soft chime of the cafe doorbell. The door was cracked open, a shadow standing in the doorway. A man, elderly but with a strange aura about him, stepped inside the cafe. His face was weathered with age, but his eyes sparkled with a knowing that made Rylan uneasy. "Good evening," the man said, his voice deep and raspy. "I've been waiting for you, Rylan." Rylan blinked, startled. "Do I know you?" The man smiled, his eyes twinkling with a hint of mischief. "You might not think so, but I know more about you than you realize. I see what you long for, the life you dream of. You want something more, don't you?" Rylan frowned, unsure of how to respond. He didn't know this man, yet something about him felt oddly familiar. The man stepped closer, as if he had all the time in the world. "I've seen you, Rylan. You don't belong here, cleaning up after others, living in the shadows of your stepbrothers. You deserve more. Much more." Rylan hesitated, but the man's words struck a chord deep within him. His heart beat faster, as if his hidden hopes were being recognized for the first time. "What do you mean?" "I'm nothing more than this. I'll never be someone who fits in that world." The man chuckled softly. But that's where you're wrong. You don't need to fit in. You just need the chance to shine." He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out an ornate invitation, handing it to Rylan. "Tomorrow night, Prince Lucian is hosting his ball. You, Rylan, will be there." Rylan blinked in disbelief. "I can't go there. I'm not like them." The man smiled kindly. "You are exactly like them, if only you would let yourself see it. The invitation will give you entry, but remember, magic can only work for a short time. Once the clock strikes midnight, it will all fade away." Before Rylan could protest, the man turned and vanished into the night, leaving Rylan with the invitation in his hand, still warm from the stranger's touch. His mind raced, unsure of what just happened. But something inside him felt different. Something had changed. The following day was a blur of motion. Rylan couldn't stop thinking about the ball, about the mysterious man's words. He hadn't told anyone about the invitation. What could he say? That a stranger had promised him a night in a world he didn't belong in? It all felt too unreal. But as evening approached, something inside him urged him to go. He hadn't felt this alive in years. He wasn't sure how or why, but Rylan found himself standing before a mirror in his small apartment, staring at his reflection. The same tired eyes, the same dull clothes, but something about him felt different. The invitation lay on the bed beside him, glowing faintly in the dim light of the room. Rylan could hear the sound of his stepbrothers laughing below, completely unaware of the turmoil in his heart. He swallowed hard, his hands shaking as he reached for the card. For one night, he would escape. For one night, he would be someone else. The ball, he thought, would be his chance to break free from the confines of his ordinary life. He would slip into the world of the powerful, the beautiful, and the important. And maybe, just maybe, in that world, he wouldn't have to hide who he truly was. But as the clock ticked closer to midnight, Rylan's heart pounded. He could already hear the sounds of the lavish party outside the ballroom, the laughter, the clinking of glasses. He stood frozen at the entrance, unsure whether he was ready to take the step into a world that felt so foreign, yet so enticing. With a deep breath, he stepped forward.